hi there, people of the internet. Like Jagero says, my name is Robertta Bobbie, and we're on another segment of Heartfelt with Bobbie on the Dialogues with Jagero show. Thank you so much for watching all my episodes. Nikki yap about nothing and everything. But today, I have a really... What word do I use to describe you, Skate? I have someone that I really, really admire, actually.
Wow.
Someone who I've known... Not known on a personal level, but we'll explain how we know each other for over 10 years. Yeah. Skate was the one person who used to like my blogs when I had no likes. You've seen that saying for if she has one hater, it's me.
It's me.
If I had one lover, it was her. She would comment and like and read my stuff and tell me what she thinks about it. And at that point of inception of my blog, I think that's really crucial because you kind of need that validation to know what you're doing is
making sense. And
yeah, so that's how I met her. But she's going to tell us a little bit more about who she is and why she's... No, I'll tell you the why she's here. Today we are here to discuss sex in long-term relationships. And I'm here as a learner. Niko tu hapa kulearn. Mimi hata sijui hizi mambo. So leo ndauliza maswali kama mtu ajui kitu yoyote na unitreat as such. So thank you so much for honoring my visit. I'm so happy that you're here.
Oh.
And you're so beautiful.
Thank you. You too.
Asante. So Skate, tell us a little bit about, who you are for people who don't know and, they're here to listen. And then we'll get into why we want to discuss
this topic.
Yeah.
Okay. So my name is Skate. Skate is the nickname. So my real names are Gina's ID. Ni Kathleen Mwende.
Gina's M-Pesa.
Gina's M-Pesa.
To me, M-Pesa after this one.
Yes. Ni Kathleen Mwende. But Skate has been my nickname since Form 1. So it's pretty much part of my identity
Where does it come from?
So...
Are you a skater?
Imagine,
skater girl.
Aki, let me tell you. I made the name up, actually, when I was entering Form 1.
Wait, you're so beautiful. When I'm looking at you speak, I'm feeling...
What?
Waves of beauty. I don't know how
waves
to explain
it,
but go on.
Go on. So I came up with the name in Form 1. I don't know why I ended up reading The Insider at some point in class 8.
That's all we did, girl.
That's all we did. And we were hyping ourselves up for high school, nini. Kuna chenye tumeona kwa movies na kuna chenye tulienda kwa experience, which were worlds apart. But unajua Insider ilikuwa inachocha. Sijui unaona watu wanaenda sijui.
Hot boys.
Sijui, na mafunky nini. So I was like, any opportunity ya ku rebrand. I'd been in the same school since, I think, pre-1 ama nile primary. Hadi class 8. So everyone I knew was just the same person since I was in class 2. So
imagine this guy is still calling me.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Sorry. Yeah, so I was like, okay, I need to come up with a name, a way that people are going to know me. So when I engaged Form 1, I used to say, my name is Kathleen Mwende, aka Skate. Aki walikuwa wananichekelea, I swear. Kwanza the Form 3s and Form 4s, because they're looking at this kimono. She's so short. Yeah. She doesn't know anything. Alafu niko na Kathleen Mwende, aka Skate. So at first I know it was what is she on about? But then also my name, Kathleen, I used to hate it when people used to say Catherine or find for me a short form that's working for them. So I used to say Skate. So now I've given you a name and how to call me. So eventually kakwa Skate. And then it stuck. So it just stuck. So even when I get uni and everything, Ikakwa Skate is the name. So... yeah, that's how we have skate. I'm going to learn how to skate. Imagine it's my 2025 resolution. I feel like a fraud.
I'm sure maybe you get that question a lot.
I do, yeah, because people assume I know how to skate and I don't. Yeah. So I was like, 2025, I have to learn how to skate. Niache kusikia ka nishaipatana na mtu anaitwa Skate.
Oh, wow.
And she got so excited because I guess she wanted us to get into the whole... whole excitement about, I found a fellow skater. And I was like, oh my God, I'm really going to disappoint you. Guy, mainly, Aki ilikuwa for vibes, purely. Yeah. I don't, so I was like, why?
That's nice.
So, so that's how I came up with Skate. Who am I? I'm a counselling psychologist. And a part-time ranter. Let me say that.
I love a
for the
rant.
most,
I love a
for
good
the most part. So yeah, that's basically like the career general aspect of it. But yeah, I'm a writer. The times when I used to follow your blog, I think we're in uni like around the same time.
Yeah.
So I'd also got into uni, and first of all, I love saying I love a good rebrand. So when I got into uni, I was like, okay, these people don't know me, so this is a chance
to be
a whole new person. Exactly. And I was like, okay, I used to be those people who kuandika ma poems high school kwa prep. So I was like, okay, so tumefika hapo, tuko na WordPress, tuko na blogs, tuko blogspot.com. Yes, I was like, okay, so it's time for me to get my blogging on. Zico. No, imagine Zico. I still have a blog on WordPress actually, but I barely, that's a story for another day. I barely post. But yeah, so I started out my blog, and then I saw your blog, and then I remember I was reading, and I was like, what? Kwani mtu anaweza sema hizi vitu? So I used to think you're so bold actually with what you used to write and I used to write, and I was like, wow. So it was really inspiring. Actually, it very much inspired how I ended up also writing, because I think, now when you're writing stuff like in high school, there's a lot of shameful things you can't talk about. So now when I'm reading your blog, and then I'm also out here in uni. Your time Facebook ndo ilikuwa imeshika, IG imeanza. Now we have now logged in on IG. Ilikuwa MCM, WCW. So I was like, wow. So really out here, alafu your time, I think we used to do a lot of these hangouts, because I think is in the times zenye kulikuwa na hizi vitu za families, Zaytun, Sijui secrets,
and a lot of events
that used to happen, Sijui daylight festivals,
Sijui events kwa 800 bob, 1000.
I'm a punch.
Na si kitambo, sisi
wazee, just like some 10 years ago or something. Yeah, so I was like, hey, okay, enye kwa adult, wow. So I used to write my blog, and I used to be like, okay, so I think I need to just generally be more open and everything. So I'd say Hapo, for sure, you really inspired me, because I was like, wow, I'm not even this is not the stuff I want to write about, but if she's writing about it, it means I can also just venture outside of my comfort zone. Yeah, so eventually I think I want to write a book, eventually. But until then, wacha niwakizo muscles hapo kwa blogging. Yeah.
So let's get into writing. What does writing mean to you, and what is it about? How did you start? How did you know kuna
kipawa ya kuandika?
Cha uandishi.
Wow.
Even in the poem writing and all that. I have a similar story, but I want to hear yours.
It's going to sound a little bit dark, but I think I was a lonely kid. Now that I think about it, because I spent so much time alone. So I think I ended up realizing I have a gift for writing because of journaling. I used to write in my diary a lot, because I used to have so much to say, and I don't know who to tell.
How did you know about journaling that young?
Wow, what happened? So there was a random fiasco in class 5 of having a diary. I don't even know how it happened, but shule ilikuwa na ma cool kids kiasi. So nakumbuka kuna some point in class 5, me diary yangu ilikuwa tu hizi notebooks za hizi zenye zinakuanga na kibinder kitu around so me, this is where I used to write
the spiral
stuff. The spiral one. But I think some other people, I think we started talking about it kwa class, and then now these people who had cool parents wakapelekwa na kumat, wakabewa zile madaris zilikuwa dina ile lock and key, so it ended up being a fancy thing or something. But now I think I ended up taking it so seriously, because now when you start journaling, and then you write today, and then you write tomorrow, and then eventually you realize you always have something to say. So I think that's how I got into the habit of reading. But apoko poems, I think that was high school. High school uko na feelings mob. High school uko na feelings mob. Alafu sasa tumeanza kulearn poems kwa class, kwa literature. So I'm like, okay, I can also try and do this. Sijui tunatry kuandika ngoma. So I think ilianza from hapo. So initially it was just trying it out, but then when I started trying it out, I ended up realizing, wow, like I'm really good. So for the most part, it was just for my own consumption. It was just for me to release a lot of the feelings that I had that I didn't know where to take.
Yeah.
So that's how it started. But by the time I was finishing high school, I think I'd written a couple of songs. Mimi nilikuwa mse mwenye nilikuwa naandika ngoma, and then naimbia wase kwa class, ama you can break out in song like kwa preps.
Yeah.
So that was pretty much most of high school, I think. Yeah. So after uni, now it became more, now I'm writing a blog, and I used to do like, I write a poem and then I write a blog about the poem. Yeah, so that was mostly my format. I should get back to it. Okay, I still do, but it's not consistent. It's not as consistent right now. I think kuna a lot more ways of handling our and expressing our emotions, compared to that time. So I think a lot has ended up being diluted in the process, but I still write now for my own personal. Don't lose the mojo.
Yeah. Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah.
So do you put your writing out there, or is it just right now exclusively for you? I do put it out there, but I don't necessarily like market it out there. So I do write, I post, I put it out there, and then it's one of those, if you're looking for it, you'll find it kind of a thing. So ninaandika alafu unajonga ile stop sign yenye inakuanga ya green. Yeah. So in your moment, like nime post, but it's like, okay, low-key hoping msisome, but pia ukisoma pia ni poa. But where do you think that comes from? When listening to you speak, I feel like you're me. Your story is just mine. Kabisa unasema tu kila kitu perfect kama yangu. So I want to know, hiyo feeling inatoka wapi?
That's a good question.
I mean, not everyone has to share
not
their
everyone
writings,
has to share their
but
writing.
Like, a blog space is a public space.
It's a public space.
So you might get 100,000 views tomorrow out of nowhere after this episode goes out.
Oh my god.
So you're either in or
I'm either in or out. Yeah.
So what's
I get
the
what
disconnect?
you mean.
And
the
where
disconnect is, I think the way I ended up evolving in my writing, it's very personal. You see, I came from journaling and writing in my diary. I actually have all my diaries, I think, from from Form 1. That's low-key a red flag, actually. But
why? I have mine from class 2.
You do? Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay, tuongea about
it's not a red flag.
It's not a red. Tuko sawa.
We're just record keeping.
We are just because then we document.
Because how many times have you gone back to read your writing and you're
I
like,
don't even recognize who that
smart,
yeah.
or I was so emotional.
I was so emotional, and sometimes actually when I read and I'm like, oh my god, I don't even remember. This was such a huge part of my life that looking back right now, so much has changed. So first of all, that usually keeps me really hopeful, because I'm like, enye tulitoka hapa.
Yeah.
Wow.
When you thought, sometimes you thought you're dying, and then...
You thought I'm dying, I'm writing with tears in my eyes. Alafu nasema up after 2 years, and I'm like, I don't even know who that nigga is. Like, I don't even remember who that person. Yeah, so for sure, it's a good thing. But I think now, because of how my writing evolved, it's so personal. So I think I usually have a bit of a problem with showing myself bare, because I ended up becoming a bit of a private person eventually. Initially, it was just writing and sharing and angst and everything. But now, kuna yo digital footprint. Inakuanga kwanza at the back of your brain hapa kidogo. And then I think a little bit... it has a little bit to do with the whole mimi wa last week, si mimi wa sai kind of vibe.
Consistently growing. So
when I read some of the stuff, and I know the growth, I know what has changed and what has happened. So now when I'm reading, I'm like, oh my god, I don't know if I'm willing for people to see the whole gradual thing.
It's scary.
It is, but I'm actually working on being seen. I feel like that's the one hurdle I just need to get over, because I already put it out there, so I don't have a problem with artists sharing my stuff or being outspoken. I guess I just have a problem with the outspokenness being hard. Now I know when it's hard. Now when somebody reads it,
it's real.
Uliandika, ukamaliza hiyo, ukapost, ukashare, ukamaliza hiyo. When someone reads it and someone takes in what you're putting out, now it's real.
Yeah.
So now I think that's...
Si udaku.
Now it's real. Now it's on paper. Now it's... Yeah. And then I also have a kid. So there's also that. There's also trying to figure out, how much of this would I actually want her to see? And then also it's like, she's going to see me in this light. So I think also just those are the things that I've been grappling with. Lakini tuna come out on the other side.
Listening to you, I'm realizing all writers have this issue, and that's what hinders their writing, because it reaches a point you start being, I mean, I have the same feeling sometimes. Sometimes I'll go and read something I'm supposed to put out and I'll think, what? It's in ujinga. But something I tell myself is there's someone who is me from last week. And they need to see that exact thing that right now I've evolved from. And now I'm thinking, sinime grow, siniko better. Why would I share that? So that people can know how I'm feeling. But just the putting myself in a space where I'm starting to realize everyone needs to see this, but without bringing the conversation to me. It's just I really relate to everything. No,
but imagine I get, and the thing that you've mentioned, relatability.
Yes.
I feel like that's the one gift that you have with writing. That I think if you focus on that, then it can help you get through the other fears that you have. Because for sure, because look at how you writing your blog was relatable to me in whichever way that it was relatable to me, and it ended up making certain steps with regards to, I guess, my own writing. And you see, that's like the whole domino effect. Saa zingine, not putting yourself out there, you fail to play that part in somebody else's life. So I'm not saying that you're doing it for the other person, but it helps to know that there's one person somewhere who will read this and will be like, damn, I'm explaining chenye nilikuwa nasema. And it's helpful because kama ulitoka hapo inamaanisha pia kusoma anaweza toka hapo.
Yeah. I like that. It feels so. I feel hard and seen. And like, this is. And now we are here at this table. Because one time we read each other's work, and you are also an amazing writer. I love the way you write. I enjoy reading your work. Maybe tell us, what is it for the people who don't know, of course. What is it you write about?
Wow. Hey, I won't say anything and everything, but for the most part, I'd say one. I think growing up I had like a lot of mental health issues. So I think I talk
times it what mental health issues haikuwa
you're being rude. And although I have a bit of a different story, and I think that's kind of also what changiad. So my mom is also a psychologist. So I think at around in class 8 so yeye ndo alikuwa ameanza kulana about therapy nini, so amejambia okay, I'm going to use this time too. So she took me to therapy, my first therapy session. I remember I was 14. It was real.
In my school there were rich kids.
Imagine when first of all nilisema cool kid, si rich kid.
Cool kid. Okay.
Lakini it was even one of those, because I think now she was already in these circles. She'd already made like certain contacts and everything. So I think she was even on a pro bono thing. It was stands for I want you to talk to my daughter. There's something going on. And actually it was a bit of a recommendation from my head teacher. I think the head teacher wrote a letter to my mom or told her, and it was something along the lines of, I want too much attention from boys. Kukua insistio, I don't know, akiyo ni wadi ya high school, but hiyo ndo wadi yenye imekuja. So I think maybe the teacher mentioned it, and unajua say ndo adole imeanza nini. So you know, now when you're a teacher and you're looking at the dynamic of this class, you're seeing
who you
kuna exactly. So I think she commented to my mom. My mom took me to therapy, so the whole idea was to unpack what that was about or whatever. It was like kind of fruitful, but I think unfortunately what ended up signaling to me was that I had issues. And it's true I did, but you also see now
that's the general connotation around therapy,
exactly.
Before awareness.
So now you can imagine I am entering Form 1. I'm 14. I've already gone for my first therapist. So I already know I have issues. I have daddy issues. So I already knew that going into Form 1. So I was so self-conscious about almost every interaction that I ever had, because I used to feel like, so now when I talk to this boy, he will know that I am needy because of the daddy issues. And you can imagine uko form 1 unafikiria hizi vitu zote. Hizi si vitu unafaa ukifikiria ukiwa form 1. Okay. Yeah. Maybe, but
not like
but
that.
Not that deeply. Yes. Maybe you're just focused on maybe if the guy likes you back or not. You're not thinking, how am I coming across as? That's not so I think because I ended up having to delve a lot into that, so I was like in and out of, so maybe nikaenda holiday nitaenda maybe therapy session moja, but then haiko ina work sana juu pia manze adole is overworking.
Size always
siwezi sikiza, alafu pia nilikuwa boarding school, so already at this point nachukia shule. I was failing so badly. Oh my god, I really failed. So also expectations zangu za high school zilikuja zika flop so badly. Nilishinda ku keep up with in high school. It was really hard. So I was also like suicidal and all of these things.
So all these feelings and things are coming. Oh wait, before that, let me ask. So when you're being told, whether it's in therapy or your mom who told you, I don't know who told you, that, you know, the thing that made you have these feelings that you have issues, where was it coming from? Was it in the way they communicated, or were you told,
no,
you want too much? Was it the teacher saying it?
No. I think it was the way in which it came across in therapy. Because you see, now I'm being told I'm going for therapy. It was not such a big deal because my mom is already a psychologist, so it's not like it's this foreign idea. So I was actually really excited to go. But then I went, and this guy really, all the things he was saying, so like I said, it was mostly because of daddy issues. So the idea, I think the first therapy sessions was to bring me closer to my dad. And now when you're having that conversation and he's describing all of these things and he's saying all of these things and I'm not relating to anything that he's saying. So I think that's when it hit me. Oh, so actually the things that this guy is talking about, and yeah, there are things that I guess need to be addressed. And I think at that time I felt...
Was your mind able to compute these things in that age?
Imagine looking back, I think yes. Because if you are a bit of a lonely kid, you are reading a lot of books.
Yes.
So I was reading Reader's Digest. Did you kumbuka Chicken Soup?
Yes.
So I was already reading a lot. I was reading some of my mom's notes. There was this book I once read in class 8 called Power of the Subconscious Mind. So
tunasoma saizi.
Exactly. But the thing is, yet nilikuwa naelewa. Unajua unaweza soma na unadhani unaelewa, but uwezi internalize juu pia akili yako haijakoma to that point. So I have this vague idea of what's going on, and I have this vague idea of what needs to be fixed or maybe what needs to be done. But I think even at an early age, I was able to realize that conversation here, that the issues is kind of two-way. Like there's the me coming for therapy, but then there's also the part that maybe needs to be addressed by my dad.
Yes.
So actually I remember I stopped the therapy actually in class 8, and I told them I don't think I want to continue doing this because...
Wait, in class 8?
In class 8 bado, yeah, because I think I started like up around August. So by the time tunafika hapo December tukingoja results ikuje before niingie high school, I think I just told the guy I think mi sitaki kuendelea na therapy sessions juu all of these things that you're saying, they're good, but I don't think my dad is going to change, and I don't see my dad coming here for therapy like me.
So it's like zero.
So now I just know what is wrong, but I can't do anything to fix it. And I think I've ever written a poem about this at some, because I think around that time is when I also realized that people have different families. I think now when I got into Form 1, high school was the one where I realized, wow, unajua ingine tunaenda shule, unarudi home, you don't know much about what's happening. Then now you get into high school, and then you're seeing all of these things, and you're hearing all of these stories, and you're like, wow, mabuda zenu wanawapeleka
you have a man in your house?
What do you mean? Hii ni kusema nini? Kwanza ati sijui the dads wameleta shule. You know, and I look back, I even realized awkward. I don't even think he ever brought me to school. So you know now, that's not an issue ukiwa home. Ukiwa home haujui anaweza kupeleka until ufike shule, and then you realize these people other dads are coming, ama people have better relationships with their dads than their moms. People have better relationships with their dads than with their moms. So now it's like, So I think now, so knowing what I already kind of knew from Uko Class 8, and then now I'm coming into this new reality and I'm being faced with different perspectives and how people are living. And so now I'm doing a comparison. And then, what were you doing in high school if you were not comparing yourself to everyone that you know? So I am seeing this. So I've already been told I have daddy issues. And I need to watch out.
Wait, this was said explicitly, like they said,
they worded it differently,
no,
obviously. Mimi nilitoa wapi daddy issues.
Because I'm trying to think like
You're trying to think like a 14-year-old.
And I'm seeing all these things seem so complex.
I think the wording that was used in Class 8 was more of you and your dad need to have like a more loving, like a better relationship, so you need to work on that. So
but why was this responsibility being placed on you?
Because I think it was coming out now. To reference back to you, teacher wetu wa Class 8, I think it was coming off in the kind of attention that maybe I wanted from boys. And when I remember myself in Class 8, I was so desperate for attention. I wanted to be liked so bad. Oh my God.
Ama, you were just being a normal teenager.
Thank you. That's the thing. I was probably just being a normal teenager.
Because a lot of
for
us,
sure, yeah.
Apana. Because a lot of our peers and us, that's what you do.
Even that's what you were thinking. Everything. That's exactly what it was about. We were boy crazy. That's what it was about.
Yeah.
But I think now my mom was clocking something that I wasn't.
You're not
clocking.
Able to see. Okay.
And I think now, she knows the man she married.
Yes.
So I think she knows maybe like his shortfalls or his shortcomings. And then she's had feedback from teachers. So she's thinking, wow. Now I guess I'm psychoeducated. I'm also a therapist. So now I have an opportunity to like, maybe not fix it, but I have an opportunity to work on this before, ufike adulthood, and then you have to unlearn all of these things and stuff. So genuinely, I think it was coming from a good place with regards to my mom. Yeah, aliona tu gap, amepewa feedback, so akasema now work on it. But you see now, the way that you said, the onus of changing this situation ended up falling like on me. And I think by the time I was now that time, I'd also clocked that. I was like, I don't think Mimi ndo nafaa kuwa nikiingia
Why is
therapy.
it me?
Why is it me? I just love boys.
Yeah.
Everybody loves boys.
Yeah.
Why is this a thing?
Yeah.
So generally I'd say that's the background. So now I think that ended up reflecting in my journaling and my writing, because now anytime I'd feel something, I used to end up dissecting it so much, because now I know where could this be coming from,
the root of the
problem. And genuinely, it's a very bittersweet feeling.
Yeah.
Juu, I wish I didn't have to think so much about a lot of the things that were happening. But
at
then
that time especially.
But then looking back, I'm just like, lakini ningejua kuandikia wapi. So it's one of those. So I wish I didn't, it's one of those, something happened. I wish I didn't have to go through all that. I didn't have to go through all that. But then, thank you for the experience. Though, at least nilitoka na skill. Yeah. Skill moja safi.
Yeah.
Yeah, so at least I ended up writing, because now I was just deep in thoughts every time. And then I used to have such different phases. I was either yapping or I was a loner. So when I was alone, I used to go and sit under a tree and just write there and cry about how boys don't like me and nobody has poked me on Facebook and sijui what.
That used to kill us.
Oh my God, sijui kuandika mail. And then eventually with the kajipa. And then also, I'm hearing all these stories of people, they're meeting up at Junction.
That was the thing.
And Prestige.
Yeah.
Mimi sayo, najambia tu guy.
Na lifestyle.
Wana lifestyle, najambia tu guy. Sasa mimi nitenda kupatana na was. Now, genuinely, these were very high school problems. Yes. It was not supposed to be anything deeper than that. But I think because I was always looking at it from a deeper lens, ended up doing so much introspecting. And then when I'm introspecting, I'm writing. And then when I finish writing, nasikia hapana, lazima ni rhyme. So naingia hapo naanza naandika poems, and then it got me in trouble. Nilichapa shule. Our system,
because of your poems.
Yes, because you see now sometimes I'd write something and then maybe nachukuliwa na msi kwa daro inapeleka kwa teacher, and it's like, oh, so you're writing poems, what are these love poems you're writing for? So there was also that. And if you tell me not to write now, all I'll do is
Rebellion.
write. Now that's all I'm doing.
Yeah.
So I had a book for writings. Nikafika kampo. Sasa I can write all I want.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So naweza sema too, that was now my journey on writing. So I think as of now, I think I talk a lot about mental health for sure. I think also because I'm a psychologist na hiyo ndo nilisomea. So eventually nilikuja kusomea tu hiyo. Bado I think I was like, let's go pro.
Full circle.
Now let's just do it properly. Yeah. But then also now depression. I'm also a mom, so also motherhood. So right now she's turning 6 in July. So we're in the young motherhood phase. So that's what I'm also talking about. So it's using my life as, what can I say? Where the conversations are starting from my own life, my own experiences, and then I write about them, and then when I write about them, and then I talk to people about them, and then it's like, okay, so now we're having this conversation, now we go to the next conversation. So I think
it's super bold, you know. When we started the conversation, you know, we were talking about this kidogo anxiety you have, you're putting yourself out there. Then now, tumefika point na realize you're putting yourself out there just in a different way. In other ways.
Yes.
So it was always in you. You had the
was
dog in you. It just needed
I had that dog in me, for real.
needed to come out,
Just
maybe.
needed to come out, yeah. Exactly.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So around high school, okay, so today we're going to talk about, let me tell these guys. Today we're talking about sex in long-term relationships.
Yeah.
So I want to figure out, mambo za ngono ulijulia wapi? Na ilianza wapi? Leo tuambie ukweli. By the way, if you don't want to answer something, you can pass.
Yes.
If I ask anything that's too, so feel free kabisa.
Okay, mambo ya ngono nilijulia. Well, actually, that's a very interesting question. Nilijulia
Usiseme kwangu.
Guy, no. No, by the time I was getting to you, I was a fan already.
Ulikuwa pro, acha fan. Pro labda.
Yeah, I think nilijulia maybe primary school. Sikufanya kujua.
Correction.
Yeah, correction. And I think ni yote mwenye tulikuanga na zile masimu zenye saa zilikuwa zina accept. Ilikuwa inaitwa GPRS. Hiyo yenye saa ilikuwa na kale ka web nini yenye tulikuwa tunaendanga kwa Warp Trick.
I know what you mean.
Yes. Just a kawaida button phone, but then it has that
the
cast.
GPRS
Yeah, the
button.
GPRS button, yeah. So I think at around that time, guys were really experimenting. Because at that time now, you're downloading ringtones. But then unajua ukienda Warp Trick, scroll hadi huko chini, ulize, are you 18? Unasema, yes, of course I'm 18. Alafu unaingia hapo unaona vitu zenye auko unafaa kuona.
Yes.
So of course na hiyo ni adolescence. So I think that's when I first started seeing these things. And then now you go to high school and so much is happening, your body is changing, other people are having sex. Wewe hata hujaikisiwa, oh my god, uko na stress ni nini. So I think I'd say maybe in campus is when I started being like, okay, now I'm an active, I guess, sexual being. So now I'm interested in anything and everything maybe about sex generally. Unajua pia unakwanga, you're not supposed to have sex. So no sex. And then when you reach 18, it's like all of a sudden, but no one has taught you anything along the way, so you just end up teaching yourself.
Actually, that's my next
or
question.
Learning from.
How was the conversation around sex?
There was which conversation? Which conversation? So
all the information you're getting is from school and peers.
Information I'm getting is from peers, the internet, and the books. Ilikuwa inaitwa Mills and Bones, ama ilikuwa inaitangwa aje?
Nimekumbuka.
Nimepeleka mbali. Yes,
I almost said something on the mic, but I was too young for that.
So now you can imagine that's the only information that we're getting when we're in high school. So there's a lot happening. And then there's what you're being told kwa Izima, someone's a church. And then you go home, and then kwanza Izima after holiday, the first 2 weeks after holiday, ni kusikia tu sa stories za watu venye alienda kwa chali yake, sijui akafanya nini. So this is the only way you're really knowing about anything. I'd say with regards to home, any kind of sexual education that I got, by the way, I don't think I can remember, but it's just the pretty much don't have sex, period.
Okay, so umeingia kampo.
Nimeingia kampo.
Una wewe ni mtu
Nimeanza mimi ni mtu mzima. Sasa naweza fanya sexual activities. So that's now where my head is at. And then I'm reading your blog and I'm like,
watu wanadinyana huko.
Watu wanafanya vitu kuinje, my god. So I think for the most part, I think I was just knowing about sex, like just from people and around other people. But then I think now, with regards to this topic that I was speaking about specifically, I think I'd say it's after I'd already gotten my kid and we're like knee deep in COVID. And then now I'm having, I guess I want to say different sexual, problems, but I'm saying different, quote unquote. And I think it's because in comparison to maybe most of the people my age, because I think I'd got my kid when I was 24. So generally, I'm so young compared to
just a baby.
Yeah, I'm just a baby, exactly. So now I am 25. I have like a 1.5-year-old kid, and I think I have low libido. What is that? Typically, when you think low libido, you think older people, older women. So essentially, that's the thing that's going through my head. I'm like, okay, when I read every other article about low libido in women or in mothers, I am relating heavily to what this is. But then also, kuna venye nakataa juu I'm 25. My peers are having sex on balconies in Dubai. So what do you mean low libido at 25? Hiyo ni kusema, so immediately you're thinking, hey, there's something wrong with me. There's something, that's not working. Yeah, so I think that's what ended up making me go on like a deep dive on what the hell is low libido actually. Like let's start there. I was like, what is low libido?
Yeah, what is libido?
So when I was going down the rabbit hole, libido, generally libido ni nini? Tuseme ni virality ama hiyo force. Hiyo force ya ku
ukifanya tu hiyo
wataelewa ni hiyo force. That's what I guess libido is. So when you have low libido, technically it means wewe na hiyo force, it's not there. You have to do a lot more to get you in that headspace. And so when I was now researching, I'm knee deep in TikTok.
Wait, let me cut you off a bit. Sorry, questions will pop in.
No problem.
What happened that prompted you to feel like I had
it could even be a thing,
to even go on and research? What was happening in your life in that moment that made you know you have
first of all,
something is happening?
I had postpartum depression. So I think at this time I didn't really know it like I just know that sometimes after giving birth, you have your blues and everything. But now we're like 1.5 years after giving birth. So technically this is a phase that should have already ended. So I should be getting like my sex life back in the same vigor that I had it like 2-3 years ago. So already I'm feeling like I'm not at par with venye mimi najijua na venye
kama mkamba Mwende
venye mimi najijua na venye na feel sahi. I'm so disconnected to whoever that person is. And so it really made me question a lot. And then you see already most of my life has been me just questioning myself. What is going on? So now this was a very different problem. Because initially all these problems that I've always had are childhood issues. No, this is a problem that's very unique.
Watu wakubwa.
It's exactly ni shida watu wakubwa. Ni shida yenye siwezi ati share with my mom or anything, and I'm sharing it with my friends. But then there's also a way in which you can share something, but then half of the time when you share a problem with someone who also gets it is the validation. When you talk to someone and it's like, oh yeah, I get it. So there was that, but then I was feeling like, but no, I feel like I want solutions. I want to talk to someone who also understands what this is. Ndo aniambie ni nini alifanya kuget out of hii ama ni nini yenye inaendelea. So I think that's because I was like, I don't think sina psyche ya kuha sex. Actually, the long and short of it was that
zero, like
it's just
no
it
feeling,
was I don't feel like having
horniness.
sex. I'm just not horny. It takes a lot for me to even be horny. And I was like, this is not working because it really didn't need to take this much. Like, and you see, the thing is, there's a lot also that's happening. So there's motherhood, there's now living in a home, and actually now in the context of long-term relationships, let me now just mention that a little bit, because it's such a typical decline. You have like your typical honeymoon stage, you guys get together, you have so much sex, and you guys are really in love with each other, and then after a while it just dips, and then now you enter into like phase 2 of your relationship. So I feel like how I started viewing my relationship, and how I started viewing myself is, I think of it like a niseme continuum, ni kama kuna, ama wacha niseme kama highway. So kuna lenia mimi na chali yangu kama sexual beings. We have a sexual relationship.
Yes.
Now, when you start being in a relationship, you ongeza another highway. Now let's go, simply you guys live together. So now you have a roommate situation going, simply because you're sharing roles, you're sharing bills, you're sharing space. That's a dual relationship that's happening at the same time as your sexual relationship. Higher, now add kids. That's a third parenthood. Parenthood is a different relationship that you're having. So when you think of like long-term relationship, think of like this is like a 5. It's like highway, 6-lane highway happening at the same time. Yes. So what you usually don't realize in long-term relationships is that zinenanga zikikat lazima zisonge, lakini they are cutting into each other. They are cutting into each other.
I like your explanation, because especially for someone who has ADHD, they might be able to visualize it like
it's parallel ninis. But now the problem is when they start clashing into each other, because life, you're one person who has 5 roles. Then now
you need to in the home
by the easy lanes is a relationship. Easy lanes that is a relationship context yenu. Tujeka lens zako personal za your career path,
and maybe you're even doing business.
So there's so many things that are happening in the context of just being in a relationship. And so a lot of the times when it comes to the sexual relationship, because it was already going on well, I mean, by the time tunafika sijui ya 2, 3, 4, inamaanisha technically our sex life has been good already. We've been compatible, things have been going on well, so you're not worried about that part. It's not a problem per se, but then it ends up being a problem when now you expect it to be running just as well as it was running 2 years ago, but
before kids,
before adding all of these other relationships. So I think that's now what I ended up realizing. I was like, okay, sawa, I'm 25. I don't think I should be having low libido issues sijui wa mama. Lakini nakuja kurealize tumeassign kitu kwa mama. And also again, think about how we generally tumefikiria wa mama ama wa baba. Even when you think of ED, like erectile dysfunction, your initial thought, you're not expecting someone who's 25-year-old man to be having, but then ukiangalia tena at the end of the day, when you think of this person as a sexual being, ukitoa the age aspect of it, when you think of them as a sexual being, you need to think about where you are in your sexual, niseme stick some graph on your sexual highway. Where are you at? And so I think now that's the time when I started being conscious about my sex life, because I was like, by the way, I'm just expecting it to run just as much, but now these other things are interfering with the sex highway. So there's this child who initially was not an issue. So if I used to come here and we'd lounge the whole weekend and we just have sex and do drugs, maybe not do drugs, but
we mean good drugs.
We mean good drugs like alcohol, like
and coffee.
What you see now, that's your typical situation, and sometimes you don't realize how much that already is what was changing.
It can't happen anymore.
It's also what was changing maybe to that good sex that you guys were having. When you take that context out, and then you're just left with the proverbial
it leaves you
dick
bare.
Inside vagina, what's the context?
Do we even like each other?
You know when you start thinking about that, you start realizing,
Skate, you're blowing my mind. Wait. Yo, unafungua micro,
Yeah.
hata sijui unafungua neuropaths zingine sikujua niko nazo, because I never really thought about anything in that way.
And when you think of sex in long-term relationships, I remember at that time when I'd said doing a podcast. I think your time, COVID. So I remember I had a segment, and it was a friend of mine who was also living with her partner, and our segment was what to know before moving in with your mans. And we were discussing how, when you think about moving in with your man, you just think ati sawa unaosha dishes, alafu anakuja hapo nyuma yako,
Those are the things I think about.
And then now you start making out, unafanya hivi, unapandisha kwa
Kwani si hivyo?
And let me tell you, iko hivyo, yes. Lakini when you have a kid who is over here sucking their thumb looking at you guys, it's no longer the same.
Yeah.
So now you have to figure out how you're going to have this.
Why
in the context, this is also happening. Exactly.
Yeah.
So what I've noticed is, because we don't talk about these things a lot, everyone just assumes that everyone is having good sex in the relationship and nobody is having any sexual issues and everybody is just okay. But then ukikuja kuangalia, saa zingine, even though saa zingine unakuja kuona the conversations that pop up on Twitter, and you're like, yo, I haven't had sex with my wife in 7 months. And guys who are outside relationships are like,
shocked.
Uko na bibi kwa nyumba na uwezi. And then the rest of us are in relationships are like,
I get it.
Actually, I have a few things to say about that.
Yeah.
And it's because this is real shit that's happening out here. And now by the time, the problem with sex conversations, especially with your partner, is because
first is it even something easy to do? Like, how do you even start?
It is not easy.
Because
first of all,
I'm guessing while you're in this long-term relationship, at some point you have to have a real discussion about.
You need to have a real discussion.
I don't like this. I want this.
It is a very difficult conversation to have. First of all,
how do you even?
Ningumu usitake shit personal.
Yes, because this is about my pussy.
Yeah,
better.
And you see, that's the thing. When you think sexual conversation with your partner, if they say they want to have a sexual conversation with you, or maybe a conversation about your sex life,
yes,
immediately, like most of the time, 80% of the time, utakuwa defensive, ata mentally. Already, the mood in which you're in before having this conversation is very defensive, because one, half of the time you think it's a skill issue.
Yes.
You think it's about what you're doing wrong or what you're not doing. Or number 2, you think you're not desirable. So in line with being defensive, because you feel like it's an attack to you. So immediately,
does it matter how they approach you?
Oh, of course it matters. Oh, it definitely matters. It matters. And I think that's why I think it's important to have the conversation generally, and I'd like people to think, unaniona legend nimepeana ya highway. I think it's important to address it in such a way, like this is just a relationship. Unaona venye tulikuwa tunaambiwa hadithi ndani ya hadithi. This is a relationship within, it's just a context within your relationship. So the whole general, it's me and you versus I guess the problem.
All right, people of the internet, I hope that you are enjoying this episode so far. I broke the episode just to tell you something that is very, very interesting. In 2024, a lot of people were saying that I am broke, Jagero. I do not have a job. That what is interesting is that when they were telling me this in 2024, I was already working on a book for the last 3 years. And that book was about the hustles and the jobs that you can get online. Now, what you need to know about me, Jagero, is that I have always traveling. I'm always doing this crazy, nice stuff. But I've never been employed since I left college. And I'm not saying that because I hate employment. I didn't get employment, But I have always worked. I've always earned money. I have worked for Americans. I've worked for Europeans. I've worked for Kenyan. I've worked for anybody literally on the face of the earth. And these are jobs that I've always gotten online, on LinkedIn, on other ways. So I've been very busy. In 2024, I wrote a book called The Digital Goldmine, 18 side hustles that you can take advantage of online. And a lot of people bought that book. Almost sometimes even 500 people in a month buying that book. And people have been saying, are there more jobs? Yes, there are more jobs. So in 2024, they are no longer 18 side hustles, but they are 25 side hustles because I have added other books. So in 2025, you cannot say, Tegero, I don't have a job. Tegero, I am broke, because I have put it before you. The book is not expensive. It is 1,000 Kenya shillings, or if you are asking about the price in other parts of the world, it is just $10. Okay? So in the description below, I have put the link that takes you to where you can learn more about the book. And I've also left a link where you can buy the book. So thank you very much. And let's go back to programming.
When you have so it's a context that's still within your relationship. So when you think of it as how you guys are addressing your sex life, it's important, one, kila mtu let their guard down. By the time mmefika hapa, mnajua ku have sex. So it's not that you guys don't know how to have sex.
Na probably
hata mnaenjoy ku have sex. So maybe at this point, the conversations you guys are having is maybe you want to have sex more. Or maybe this person, I want to have sex, and you're never in the mood of having sex. So when it comes to long-term relationships, the concern is mostly hapo kwa compatibility. Could keep up with each other. That's usually the biggest hurdle. It's either the whole quantity. That's why there's usually such a, what's the average times that married people are having sex? Do single people are having more sex than married people are? So hapo unapata unafocus sana on quantity because you read somewhere that married people should be having this amount of sex. So those are the conversations you're having. And you see now, ukisikia hiyo immediately unasikia attacked, unasikia kudefend the reasons mbona huja. So when I was looking at this whole thing, so at first I was looking for answers for myself, obviously, because I was like, I feel like I think I have low libido. Initially, I had the postpartum depression, but then also, this is not in any way to chomea like certain contraceptives, but I'd been on the hormonal one. I think it's the implant, and that's the one I got shortly after giving birth. And I think it was messing up with my hormones for sure. And you see now, these are things that I'm realizing when I'm in this situation already. This is not a conversation ati me nimetoka ku give birth, imekuwa now you need to put contraceptive. So me, I just took the implant because it was a 5-year one. I was like, long term, that works for me. But iliniaribikia by this. So first of all, already, okay, TMI. But I was TMI. But I was let's say sporting. So sporting half of the time in the month I am sporting. So the other half I am recovering from whatever the hell is going on in this. So in this other half, ndo nafaa bado squeeze in all the sex I can give time. Juu I'm going to be sporting in another 2 weeks. So unaona kuna tu vitu kama hizo zenye when now you look down at it, and then I'm going to give this perspective like now as a woman. Some of these issues, for example, are not issues that men are going through. A guy is not thinking, oh, I'm about to roll in 2 days. Hakuna you see situation yenye kwa kichwa inaweza come up. So me as a chick, these are not the issues I'm dealing with. I'm like, okay,
was it giving you anxiety?
Oh my God, it was, because you can imagine, again, I am 25. What am I seeing out here? People are cheating left, right, and center. What are the YouTube channels and the bloggers telling us? They're telling us if you don't have sex with your man,
he'll leave you.
He's going to leave you, and somebody else is going to be giving him sex. Yeah. So me, I'm thinking I'm 25, and I have to worry about somebody else.
50 more years.
And I'm like, guy, I just got here, guys. I just started. What do you mean this is my life till I'm 50, 70? So already there's so much anxiety about that. So I'm trying to make sure that I'm on top of game yangu, but then manze nilikuwa na struggle mentally. So I think now when when you read low libido, what are you're met with? Put scented candles, go and buy lingerie, go and do this, go and do that, and I'm like, wow. External solutions na mix you.
Shida iko
hapa and see external nikiva lingerie sai. It will give. It's not that I don't think I'm not giving. It will give. Yeah. But then I don't want to be an autopilot when I'm having sex.
Yes.
And
so what was it like during this time when you're having? Because you are having sex
Oh yeah, I
Even
was.
with low
Yes,
libido.
I was.
So you feel nothing? What is it like?
It was more of
Where's your mind at? Are
my
you
mind.
thinking?
My mind is. So one thing is, I really used to hate this advice that women are usually given for sex ni ya bwanako, especially now when you get into like the whole marriage spaces. There's this whole sex ni ya bwanako, so unampatia even if you don't want to have sex, you just give him because it is right, the whole conjugal right things. Yeah, so there's a whole, and no kikosa kumpea nani mwingine atampea nini.
Why do they tell us that?
I don't know why they tell us that. And you see, the thing is now, by the time I'm entering this marriage situation, I am
Did you come with these ideologies?
No, that's the thing. I am so open-minded. I'd say liberal. Sexually, I am. My thoughts on sex are very anti whatever the hell this is. May I believe sex is for everybody. I'm also participating in sex. I love sex and I enjoy sex. And in this sexual situation that I am in, I am very much an equal party here. Si ati sati nimekuja kukupea. Pia mimi napewa. Kila mtu anapeana. It's about kupeana.
Yes.
Yeah. So now I'm reading. So there's that whole vibe, but I used to be so against it. So I used to say I don't want to be in that kind of a situation where I'm just lying here and I'm just having sex with my man because it's his right. So I used to really struggle with that because I used to be like, I don't want to be that chick. But now, if I'm not that chick, it means basi I'm showing up authentically to all the sex sessions that I'm having. Yes. But now showing up authentically is when mentally niko inje.
Yes.
You see? So now, that's now what ended up being the problem. Because it's like, okay, I do want to have sex. I do want to, and I want to have sex properly. The way I've been having sex, taki sasa nimeingia kwa marriage, alafu ati sasa I'm having sex ile ingine
ya wa mama.
Ya wa mama. I was in quotes,
yeah.
Because I was like, that's not who I am. It's never been who I am. I don't want to now just change because now nimeingia kwa marriage, now I'm doing what they're doing. So I was like, I need to find a solution that's fitting for me that's in line with who I am as a person already. So the solution can't be sit there and just have sex with your man. Yes. But then also, solution can't be we sit and we wait for ile siku yenye nitakuwa na mood ya ku have sex.
Yeah.
So now
what do we do?
Now what do we do exactly? So now that is now what sent me on this wild goose chase, because I was like, there needs to be answers. I know for a fact this is a common problem. So I'm pretty sure there's resources out there about people. Somebody somewhere has broken this down and they've written a book and there's a podcast, and there are. When I started looking, I found them. But so I was like, I need to find these answers, and I'm going to find them eventually. So I guess upon Don Nilianza my wild goose chase. So I was showing up authentically to my, like when I'm having sex. Now the problem was now waiting for the mood to happen.
How were you showing? Were you bored? Were you just chilling? Were you participating actively? Were you feeling
Yes,
anything?
I was. The issue was now we can have like the issue is unapata we'll have like one really good sex session, and then now until next time. But you see, now until next time yenye inategemea mood is so
can be
never. And you know why? Think of it this way. You know, when you're dating someone and you're not like living together, the next time you guys are going to meet up, that's the next time you guys are going to have sex. So it's not necessarily scheduled sex, but you're looking forward to it. You have a day, you have a time, you have so that already essentially by the time you're coming to meet up with your man or your woman in this date, that's already like at the back of your head. Now I want you to picture you're living with this person, so you can have this sex every day, but there's no ati ile date specific yenye munase. So now if you see, it can be any time, but then also if you have to sit and wait for your feeling ati ikam, can be never. So you see, you have to be so, and you see, now when you're in a relationship, if you're not conscious about it or if you're not intentional about it, so much of this itakupita, and then even unaka realize, it's been a while. And you see, now I was like, I don't want also to be in a relationship where I'm waiting for the times when I want to have sex. Why am I waiting now and I didn't have to wait last year? What has changed? What's going on? And then also, does this mean this is my future now till the end? There needs to be a solution for what I can do maybe when I'm waiting, or how to, I don't know, shorten the waiting period, or because also I guess also because of the way that I think about sex pia ni yangu. So it's not so much about ati, of course kuna ile anxiety ya, I'm not having sex with him, so is he, wanting to have sex with other people, and then that's where the whole cheating insecurity is coming from, that angle. But then also for me, who is also a sexual being who also loves sex, I am also frustrated because I do love to have sex, and this is my man. So I want to have sex with him, but then it's like, mbona haikam, mbona haikuji. So of course inani frustrate pia mimi, because I'm like, I also want to have sex, like,
So how did so what did you find? No, how do you have this conversation? How do you prompt it? How do you start? Maybe tell us an ideal way for how to have this conversation. Because a lot of times when I think about sex, even with a partner, I can have all this experience and boldness and confidence, and I'm here. Oh, my name is Robertta, and I talk about sex. But to be honest, when it comes to sitting there with your person, and you have to say, "Hey, I don't like this," I
want this.
It's
how
very
do you
different.
Start that conversation?
So, what would you say maybe is the ideal situation and space and just mentally, physically zote for you to be able to have this conversation, so that when you shoot me that text, hey Bobbie, we need to talk, I'm not immediately thinking,
I'm not immediately panicking and defensive. Yes,
I have a skill problem.
Yes.
Something is wrong.
Now you're
with me. He wants to break up with me.
Yeah, now you're overthinking and you're like, fuck, what have I done?
So how do we within relationships? How do we create relationships?
Space? So let me try and break this down a little bit. Let me give it in terms of, we can think of it as like tools. So I like to think of relationships, akiniko na analogies more, but just stay with me. Does nabamba. Okay, sawa. So I like to think of relationships. I feel like every relationship should have a lifeboat. In the sense of, you have like these little tools and cheat codes that you guys have in your relationship that help you navigate since ni analogy lifeboats that help you navigate the storms and the sea of whatever you guys are going to come about. So one thing,
lifeboat ni kama nini?
So easy my tools. Wacha niseme. One, I'd say one, it seems like it's a simple one, but for me, let me give now maybe from my experience. Always have something that you guys watch together.
So is it lifeboat ni?
Yes.
Nani?
So I want us to start with the context of relationship, and then we're going to go into how you can flip this into now the sex conversation. So kwa lifeboat, I'd say one tool that I have is, the idea is having cheat codes, right? So
what you mean is small things that assist
you in navigating the shitty times. Okay. Because you have good times, and then you have shitty times, and then you have the times when nothing is really happening and it's just very uneventful. It's wake up, go to work, come back. You also need tools for navigating that time, because you can end up losing each other so much in the mundane days when nothing big, good or bad is happening.
And it gets boring, especially when you're with someone for so long.
And it gets boring. So you need tools on how to I'd say even sana, keeping up with your person. Because, long-term relationships mean you're doing life with someone. Doing life with someone means their life is happening, your life is happening. They're also growing as a person in their different ways. They have things they're doing. Yeah. So how do you keep up with that person over the years by the time unafika hadi uko mali umefika?
And how do you even move
How do you even move together? Yes.
Okay, just continue.
So, tool one, yenye mimi naeza sema tu, practical tool, find something that you guys watch together. Always have something that you watch together.
I like that you're being practical.
Yes.
Because most answers ukwa in the
air. No, find something that you guys watch together. One, it's such a cheat code to quality time. So tunajua the 5 love languages. It's such a cheat code for quality time. And it's very low pressure in the sense of, if you're going through one of those mundane days where mmeamka asubuhi, mmeenda job, mmerudi, kila mtu ameboeka, mmepika ama hata mmeorder food ama mmepika chenye ilikuwa kwa fridge, unajua hivyo mnaweza kuja mpitane na hiyo siku iende na mkose hata kuwa mmeongelesha na hata ikuwa beef or anything. It's just that, and especially right now the life is so fast paced, so many of those days are happening, and then now and then you pile all of that pressure on that Saturday when now you want to do. So how do you navigate this time? So one, a very simple one, have something that you guys watch together, because on the most low pressure, low budget, anything, mkitoka job, mnaingia kwa nyumba, mnakula pamoja, mna watch series. So one, hiyo ni cheat code ya quality time. You guys spend time with this person. Ako hapa, umemwona, ako poa, uko poa. Can be, it's a good opportunity. One, inakupea nika background music, but siji unajua kuna wase wanaochingi show alafu wana so if you guys end up having a conversation maybe about your day, unaweza watch kitu alafu kwa hii episode yenye mna watch, for example ni msana have altercation maybe na boss wake, and then it's like wow sijakwambia venye HR amefanya. It prompts conversation, gives you something for you guys to talk about. Can be something that you guys are talking about personally, can be something that you guys are talking about kwa the show, and then also anaweza sema kitu alafu asema me don't think ni nini career poa, and you're like why do you think so?
Oh yeah, you even get to know more about each other.
That's what I'm saying, keeping up with your person, because they're like growing. It's a small thing,
it's prompting all
but
this.
it that's unaona venyoto nasemanga the question for how was your day. It can go as far as it can go when you're answering the question.
Yes.
But now, so this is one of those situations. You guys watch something together every day. At its most low pressure situation, mmekuja, mmebit, hautaki kuongelesha mtu. So you come, you watch the show, you finish that episode, you both go to sleep. But you guys at least sat here and spent time together. That's a win in your relationship book for that day. For that day, that's all you guys could do. That's all you guys could do. And it works.
I never saw it like that, like it's a win. It seems so just normal.
Imagine it's such a win. It's such a win. It's a win. You guys are you're putting in effort. And you see, when I think of now Lifeboat, I think of these things that you can put into your day-to-day life, so that now you don't have to think so much about, because imagine if you do this, if you guys are watching a show together, that means essentially you're creating a habit. Jumtamaliza hii show, kwanza mkitafuta show yenye sijui kona seasons 3, you guys are locked in for a while.
And you miss each other when you're away from watching the show.
Because now there's also the whole, you can't watch this show without this person. And that's why I'm usually saying, find a show you guys can watch together. Jusa zingine pia chenye anapenda kuwatch, si chenye unapenda kuwatch. And that's okay. You can have your individual times, but make sure kuna ile kitu moja yenye nyi watchingi. Can be anything. Can be a TV show, can be a documentary, can be a YouTube series. Whatever it is that you guys watch together. And the reason why I'm even heavy on this is because of the consuming aspect. You consume media and it gives you something to talk about. Either it's going to relate to your personal life story, or it's going to relate to colleague wangu, by the way, ali 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ama imenikumbusha tuko na wedding yani. Iyo, vitu zenye maybe typically ungekaa hivi chini ukumbuke hiki tu, but umekumbuka juu ya hii. Why? Because you're decompressing. You're also unwinding from your day. So it's a very low pressure way of keeping up with your partner. So hiyo ni tool moja, make sure iko kwa lifeboat yako.
I love a practical tool.
Yes, that's a very good practical tool. Yes. Number 2, it's usually called parallel play. Have you ever thought about how an Indian teacher, yes, I ever thought how a PP1 teacher can have like 20 kids in a class and a manager, and it's because sometimes each kid is playing their different game, but they're existing like in the same space.
Yes.
So that's another tool I'd like to add there. Be comfortable with being in each other's space without necessarily having to demand to feel the silence or the awkwardness. Napo sana ndo kuna kwa na hiyo angle ya friendship. If your partner is your friend, you guys, you can do your thing and I do my thing, but we're in the same room and we're existing in the same space. The reason why this is such a good tool is because unapata, if you're not doing something as a couple, we can't even be in the same room together. You know,
but sometimes there's so many relationships like that.
It becomes a point, because unapata, if you're not going for an event together, we obviously don't work to where are we hanging out? And so now unakuja unapata some of the non-romantics unakuja inakuwa but now we have to do these things now. It's because you guys have pegged your relationship on doing things together. Unakuja unapata now for us to do this thing we have to go and spend money here and do this, and it's like, but ukizoea already, you can just chill with this person, and it's such simple things,
and
like
it's really intimate.
You're doing your dishes and he's just there ako kwa laptop anafanya vitu zake. That's an example of like parallel play.
If you think about it,
it is, and
for someone to just be peaceful around you
and they're just doing their thing, and
okay.
why would you not want to generally have that kind of an intimate space with your partner,
yes.
that you're
or
choosing to do life with?
Absolutely.
You're doing life with this person. You need to be able to just exist in this space with this person without having to feel like you need to be doing something, or also doing something as a couple. Again, kind of maybe takes the pressure off, especially if you guys are the couple that used to do things together, and then now maybe you're in a season of your life where maybe financially you guys can go for all these things that you used to go for, or maybe parenthood, so you already don't have that free time to do these things. But now when you have a culture where you do your thing and I do my thing and we're in the same space, and now here comes tool number 3, which is a little bit inatoka from tool number 2, is this thing we call side-by-side conversations. When you're having a conversation with someone in the car, you're not looking at them directly. It's so much easier for you kufungua roho when you think about it.
Yeah.
When you think of face-to-face, when you think of face-to-face communication with your partner, it's like, fuck,
scary.
You know. But if you guys if you're doing parallel play, and okay, maybe not parallel play, but if you're having that kind of a situation, even in that situation generally, uko min ko hapa, you're not you're not looking at each other. It's also, if you guys already have that generally, it's easy for you to use that moment as well to talk about a difficult thing. Can be a sexual conversation or not, because you're not looking at your partner like this.
Oh my God,
you're doing your thing.
So
smart. I'm telling you, it's about the cheat code and the hacks.
Why haven't I ever thought of this? Amani, I've never been in a long-term relationship, so these things have never cropped up, but that's so smart.
So you have this side, and you see now, another thing, when you guys are generally dating, usually you look forward to the meetups. So now also, that conversation you usually have for, make sure you guys are always dating in the relationship. Now this is where this comes in. Make sure you guys as a couple have something that you guys look forward to doing, and I'm huge on this. It has to be something that is not productive. I'm really big on that. It has to be something
productivity kills
it has to be something that's leisure, something that's purely fun, and in the context of a sexual relationship, nakumbuka yo highway, it needs to be something that also connects to you guys as a couple, that relationship only. So if it's something fun that's not making you think about being a parent in this situation, I'm not showing up as Mama Nani, and I'm not showing up as Mr. or Mrs. anyone. I'm showing up as Skit, and him is showing up as him. And in this moment, if someone was to pass and see us, they're just supposed to see a happy couple.
Lovers.
Period.
Yes.
Afai kuona mtu akona watoto. So you guys need to find moments where you guys are that. So it can be anything. Now that one, sasa hizo vitu ziliwaleta pamoja. Hizo ndo vitu some na famondelesha. If you guys used to go for movies, if you guys were film fanatics, if you guys used to go for plays, used to go for events, if it's hiking, if it's running, whatever it is, your leisure activity, find something that you guys do together. So one, you look forward to it, and then 2, again, you can also employ your Tulia side by side. In this situation, when you guys maybe have gone for a movie again, maybe the conversations that can come up. You see, at this point, even mentally, you're showing up as a woman. You're not showing up as a mom. You're not showing up as... You're showing up as you're just a girl with her man. So you're dressed up. You're looking cute.
Yes.
So you're showing up here, and it's like, now, even in that space already, you're probably even more willing to have certain conversations, as opposed to having this sex conversation. Sasa nataka tuongea about sex. That's going to be a very difficult conversation to have.
We need to talk.
Alafu
a reply message after. Baka mpatane home.
But if But you see now, if you already have these two things, and then somebody says we need to talk, you're not even scared. You're not thinking we need to talk is a sit down at unaenda kukalishwa hivi chini. We need to talk. Think of it like how you queue things kwa calendar. I need to talk. We need to talk about this thing. Yes. So essentially, kila mtu anajua, this is a conversation that we need to have, and it can come up maybe at any point in time, unless it's like an urgent, pressing conversation. We need to talk about this, and it's like now you've put a pin on that. So maybe when next time when you maybe ni Sato, I'm doing dishes, or he's doing what, hiyo time yenye sasa watu wanafanya mavitu, hiyo ndo time ya by the way ulikuwa unataka kuongea about hii ni nini. But you see now you have to have created a culture where you guys already have these things going for you, when it's good and simple, when it's not super dramatic, so that now when it's coming to a time when you guys need to talk about serious conversations, the bridge isn't so, you're not bridging such a huge gap. Yeah.
Okay, and do you need any we've talked about
relationship.
So now personally.
Yes, now personally.
What can you do as yourself? Because I feel like uko na cheat codes mingi. Ulikuwa na a mother who was into therapy.
Yes, I know. One,
you did introspection. You were such a grown up, but now mtu ajui hizi mambo. What would you tell them? Like, this is where you start, this is what you do, this is an actual issue, this is how you pinpoint. How do they prepare themselves towards having these conversations, or even towards feeling safe in a long-term relationship, to talk about like sex is boring, sex is okay, of course they won't say it like boring, that, but
so now before I get into that, I want us to talk about now also talk about the dual mechanism thing. Actually, and tell us what it is. So now, before I get into even the dual mechanism, I feel like I can't talk about that without talking about this, which I think is something everyone should know. As long as you're having sex, you should know this. So there's like different types of desire. There's spontaneous desire and there's responsive desire. But I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yes.
So you know. But now for somebody who don't know. Yes. So I feel like it's really important. One, like you've said, what are they supposed to know? I'm such a huge advocate of kujijua. Manze, you can't speak about a need that you don't know you have.
How will you know
it's a need if you don't? So I'm really huge on introspection. I'm huge on kujita mkutano. And with regards to, I guess, even mental health, I'm huge on where kujijua juu. Ukijijua, unajuanga what to change ama what not to change. So ukijijua also now sexually means knowing your kind of desire. And it's not like you have one desire all the time, but there's two types of desire. Spontaneous desire, which is a kawaida one, which is, umeona mse anakapoa, you've had conversation, umeingia kwa nyumba, umefunga mlango, so spontaneous desire basically is, I'm thinking about sex, I want sex, I'm ready to have sex. That's the general curve. Responsive desire is more of you get aroused in response to sexual stimuli. So you don't just think about the sex and then you're ready to have the sex. Something needs to be happening for you to respond to it, and then now so nika like kitu inaku jumpstart. And so when I was going through my deep dive, I came to realize that this whole thing for waiting to be in the mood, what I didn't know is because I was looking at it. Sorry, I tied it your part.
It's okay.
I was looking at it from Angolia spontaneous desire. So when I'm asking myself, why am I not getting horny? It's because I'm asking, why am I not getting horny spontaneously?
Because you think it should
just be. And it's because most of the time in the honeymoon period, that's
how it is.
That's all it takes.
You just need to hear his voice.
You just need to hear his voice. Ama sijui sijui amepita hivi, sijui amevaa vest.
Or his haircut.
Vitu simple ni zilikuwa enough. Sai, so nakuja kurealize, okay, so actually what is going on is I have responsive desire. I have to respond to sexual stimuli so that I can feel horny, or I can be aroused, or I can have sexual desire. And so what is sexual?
Of either of these, is there any that's wrong? Is there any that has a problem?
No,
or are they
no.
just okay?
They're all okay. And I think that's why my focus is more on kujijua. Because ukijua, then now you know what you need to do to figure it out. So the whole time, you're focused on being spontaneous desire when really you're up kwa responsive desire. So what is sexual stimuli? You can even, I'd like to think of it of like simply kama 5 senses. Sexual stimuli yenye ni
Touch,
kuona ni,
feel,
you know,
see.
seeing somebody looking sexy, or touch, smell. That's where the scented candles also come in. Looking good, feeling good. Then now there's the mental stuff. Like now maybe there's a fantasy and you're ready kwa kichwa, so you're responding to that, and then that's what is making you aroused. So that's why sometimes unapata, I don't want to generalize with the book talk girlies, but generally unapata there's the whole, these are some of the hacks I was seeing. People are really like immersing themselves in really raunchy books, and it's because it's keeping you in that space where now outwardly, externally, you end up feeling more aroused than usual. And you see, when you say it like that, it sounds like, but then when you think about it, that's just like another form of responsive. It's just a stimuli that now you are responding to, that's making you. It's not coming from kichwa straight. Ati we want sex, now let's have sex. Because
you're kind of preparing yourself.
You're kind of preparing yourself. You're responding to something. Yes, unajimarinate. So responsive desire ni ati wewe una need marination before ukwe aroused.
And this stimuli, is it self-imposed, self-inflicted, or does it have to, are we thinking it also, there's some things your partner has to be doing to create this environment that is making you feel, or is it just self? What is it?
I think it's both. It's both. And the reason why I wanted to start with the whole spontaneous and responsive desire is because this is where now the dual control mechanism is.
Tell us about it.
So when you think about sex in general, kwa kichwa, si unajua there's now the physiological aspect. There's you feeling horny. So what's happening when you're feeling horny? First of all, blood goes to your erogenous zone. So either unambao ama kama dem unasikianga do na uko chini your nipples get hard, you're feeling flash. These are all the physiological body changes that are happening to your brain. Now there's studies that are showing that mentally, ama niseme kwa kichwa, there's also like a lever system that's happening in your brain, and it's part of what is also controlling how you become aroused physically, like how it starts showing up in your body. Ni kama kwa system. Zina work together. So ukikumbuka bio, sita get so technical, lakini ukikumbuka bio, tunajua the nervous system. I think inaitangwa autonomous nervous system. Yenye ina control breathing, digestion. Hizo vitu zenye you don't have to think about, zinafanyika kwa background. Exactly. Yeah. So uko kwa background, kwa hiyo central nervous system, kuna another system uko yenye inaitwa the sexual, I guess ndo niyo sasa the dual control mechanism. So there is the sexual excitation system. I'm going to break it down. There's the sexual excitation system and the sexual inhibition system. So think of it as brakes and accelerators. So essentially, your sexual libido, your virality, sasa hii dual mechanism ni autonomous. That one is running in the background. And how it's running is ikona brakes na ikona accelerators. So your sexual libido is the car, and there's brakes and there's accelerators. Typically, you can't press brakes and accelerators at the same time. You will be going absolutely nowhere. So what are accelerators? Accelerators are the things that turn you on. So when you think of your background, money. Yes. Facts. Yes. One. But yes, actually, and that's even the thing. So the accelerators are all the things that work to turn you on, all the things that turn you on. So think 5 senses already. So nakumbuka sai kuja kuingia na kidogo na your responsive system. So there's all these things that you react to already physically, internally. And then there's mentally. When money turns you on, sometimes mentally what is turning you on is security.
Financial
Financial
stability.
security.
It's not the
Financial
actual
it's not
paper.
necessarily the actual
Oh my
paper.
God, money is
It's
so
this is a safe
The
it's
feeling
a
it
safe
gives.
space. It's a that's something that's turning you on.
And you know, these boys call us gold diggers because they don't understand it. When us women are talking about security, stability, you see, may explain biologically how
exactly.
So it's not about me wanting your money. It's about biologically me needing to feel like I am safe and I can create.
I can nurture. I can
grow.
Exactly. So when you think of
give
accelerators,
yourself your girl money, please.
Yes. So essentially, accelerators ni all the things that turn you on. So si tumesema kuna hii level system yenye na happen kwa background. So essentially, when you think of having sex, accelerator inafa press, and then all of these things that are turning us on supposed to turn us on. But then we have the brakes. What are the brakes? The brakes is everything around you, either physically or mentally, that is telling your brain, no, this is not a good time to have sex. I like to say that
is that a safety mechanism within your body?
Yes, it is. I was actually going to say, venye evolve, like venye tume-evolve as human beings, technically, chini ya maji, kwa hiyo autonomous system hiyo, we are always scanning for danger. Actually, that's where anxiety comes in.
That's why it exists.
Yeah,
anyway.
that's it exists. Yeah, it's supposed to protect you from all the dangerous and risky and situations that can hinder like you being in a safe space. So essentially hiyo ni mechanism yenye already iko kwa kichwa already without you having to do anything about it. So when we think about fight or flight, we usually think fight or flight uko kwa hiyo, but ukieka historia
even when you're chilling,
it's still working, whether you are thinking about it working or not, it's still working.
The human body is so
exactly. So the brakes are still happening. So the brakes are scanning all the things around here that are making sure hizo vitu zote zenye zina signal to the brain, this is actually not a safe space to be having sex. And that can be physical or even emotional or mental. So when you think of accelerators, the accelerators are easy. You know, seeing, napendanga kwanza na 5 senses, it's easier to break it down, even for me in my head, and also for anyone who's listening. Because this is homework. I love giving out homework.
Okay.
So this is homework now I want everybody to do. I want you to go and list like your accelerators and your brakes. What are the things that turn you on? And that's why na advocate for kujijua. Because it's not about what turns women on or what turns men on. It's about what turns you on. And you see, you're a culmination of all the things that have ever happened to you and all the sexual experiences that you've had and all the things you've seen.
So all these things are informing
they're informing your sexual life. So when you think of accelerators, for you, for example, that's money. For somebody else, it could be
sweet words.
I don't know. It could be sweet words. But then it can be sweet words. And, maybe having money. When you even think of your typical, like, I'm going to go back to erectile dysfunction. I think jina kwanga ni the most common. Unakujanga kona when it comes to kuna psychological issues, that's why sasa mtu anashindwa kunini. And you see maybe break down situation kama hiyo unakuja unapata, it's because for them an accelerator is being able to provide or being financially stable. So the brakes is all the things that are making sure that the opposites, the things that are getting in the way of you being turned on. So that can be financial instability. That's where all your insecurities are there, your body image issues. You feel like you're not pretty enough. If you're not talking about it, your partner might think they are the exactly. And you see, mbona unaona nasema na need wewe ujijue juka haujui ni nini una fight. Sa even when you do have this conversation, what will you even say? What do you even know what to say? So you come and look. So now when I learned about this, I think when I was looking back, I'm like, okay, so now maybe like I can use now like my example. What's a break? A break is Nasken me beat all the time. At this time, I think I didn't have a house manager. So it was just me and this baby. It was a lot. So already, again, being overstimulated. No, that's a thing. Especially kwanza being touched, being makelele, the lights, the everything. That's actually an inhibitor. It's getting in the way of you being turned on. So
and that's beyond your control.
Exactly.
Because the solution is to
the
leave your
solution
bed.
is to no,
But that's not
but
an
that's
option.
not an option.
Yes.
Exactly. So there's overstimulation. There is CG body image issues. Maybe I'm not feeling sexy, and so if I'm not feeling sexy, my brain, unajua, one thing about the brain is brain yako haijui that tume activate fight or flight because tumeona tiger ama juu tumeona email from our boss.
IG difference
inajua tu we are under attack. It's time to
yes.
So you are overstimulated. Let me even put a situation where you guys don't even have a kid. You're overstimulated. You've had a shit day at work. You're feeling like you need to decompress. You're feeling like you're not sexy. You're not in your best, you're not feeling like you're your best self. Your brain is internalizing all of these things as not a good time to have sex. We are managing a crisis, period. Haijui crisis yako ni unasikia uko na tumbo. Haijui inajua tu tuko na crisis. So inakanyaga breaks. When wewe umeenda umesoma article ya how to raise your libido. Umeenda the articles inakuonyesha nini? Accelerators. Ushai break, unaendelea kuongeza nguvu kwa accelerator. Simple. It's really, when you think of it like that, I feel like it really so exactly.
So there's nothing really you can do in that moment if you're not listening to you, if you don't know what the issue is.
So what I came to realize is all these articles I'm reading and all of these women I'm listening to and all of these podcasts, all the things they're telling us, we're really being sold accelerators, but nobody is talking about the brakes. Yes. And sometimes what you need to do,
or if they are,
it's blaming the other person.
He didn't get me flowers.
He
It's
he didn't do the accelerator, so that's why I have brakes. But sometimes
it has nothing to do with him.
So you come to realize you need to sometimes maybe. So the whole idea is that by the time you're having a successful arousal, it's because the brakes and the accelerators have balanced zimeskizana juu brakes zingine hawezi change. For example, by the time I was researching about this, there was also time ya COVID. Manzi, there was so much answer. Sijui kama nakumbuka COVID tulikuwa tunadhani tuna dead. For real.
Even it was crazy.
So all of these things are happening in your brain. You can't outrun Earth so that you don't have that break.
You can't stop
COVID. So what I came to realize is that sometimes you just need to turn off the offs so that you have space to get turned on. Sometimes it's not so much about doing all the things to turn you on. If you do enough things hapa kwa breaks, kufunga hizo tabs, utakuwa na enough space ya kuata smell the candle. Genuinely. Imagine you will.
I feel like hugging you. Yani una-explain vitu vizuri in such a simple...
Yeah.
I think we really complicate things.
We really do. And I think, for the most part, it's because we usually don't have the language for what to speak.
The word.
We don't have the words. We don't know what to say. We have the feeling, and then we are all relating to the same feeling, but we don't know how to articulate it or how to say it. So now when I found out about the dual mechanism, I was like, okay, first of all, a lot of lights went off in my brain, and I was like, okay, so I need to figure out how to turn off the offs so that I can be turned on. I can buy as many lingerie, as much lingerie as I want, but if I don't think I look sexy, doesn't matter what I put on.
Never gonna happen.
So I will listen to the blogs and I will pump the accelerator, but this break over here is making sure that hatusongi. And I'll always feel like I'm doing everything. I tried everything and it's not working. I opened up.
I saw a therapist.
And then, you did everything that you can, but you see, kumbe, you need to minimize the breaks. So how do you minimize the... Now, hapo, ndo sasa the task say nakuwa hapo. That's what I'm saying. The homework I want to give people. Go and write down your accelerators. And then write down your breaks. And then now you have a clear picture of what needs to happen. So the reason why this is so important in long-term relationships is because you remember that highway? Those highways I was talking about. Some of the breaks are in those highways. some of the breaks are in your relationship issues, some of the breaks are in the parenthood.
You
and
being
so
a sister.
yes, and so it's a huge break, and it's getting in the way of you speeding on the sexual lane. You're getting.
Yes.
And so you unaendelea kuongeza gas hapa kwa sexual lane, unaongeza unaenda unabuy
sometimes the
toys,
issue is not
unabuy-
even there.
kumbe issue ni una need to minimize interference from his side. Yeah. So
Oh my
up until
God,
there, do you have any more questions? Because I have a few
my
more things to
goodness,
say
Kate.
about this.
I feel like you are who I think I am. Like, listen, I'm like, this girl. Yani even though mi udani na sound, ama even though
na sound.
najua vitu. So it's so refreshing to listen to you speak about all these things. Like, I wish we could go on, but I have to call you back again so that we could continue this conversation. But just before I wind up,
wrap this up, yeah.
Hata sijui. Do you have questions? Do you have anything else you want to say towards this conversation? So just one thing.
Just one more thing. Okay, one, I already talked about the lifeboat. So hizo bits za lifeboat ukujuzieke, and then with regards to sex in long-term relationship, find out about your accelerators, find out about your brakes, and then figure out what you need to rearrange priority-wise. Maybe pause on buying lingerie, and then maybe, I don't know, work on the breaks. For sure, we'll meet up another time. We expound more on that. But I want to do like
I'm sure even if I don't call you Jagero, we know why.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll come up with a segment. So now I'll share this information in a way that I can break this down. So I think I'll also send it to you.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Where can people find you if they have more questions?
Or if they have more questions. Let me say, for now, Instagram. So my name is Mwende Kathleen. Mwende _ Kathleen, but it's Mwende Kathleen.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's just my names there. Ukienda utaona skate. Yeah, so I think I'll break down this information properly, and then we'll have another conversation later. But I'm so happy we're having this conversation, and I'm glad that you're having some few aha moments.
Yeah. Thank you so much for even coming, for making
You're
time
welcome.
for us. It's been so amazing to learn. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Conversation itaendelea huko mtandaoni. You'll find us over there. So follow Kathleen, and you can leave questions in the comment section.
Yes.
Anything you want to talk about, I will force her to come back so that she can answer these questions. Until next time.